To talk about some new developments this morning tied to the president's plans for a military parade. Now it looks like it might not happen after all. The president tweeting just a short time ago that he, quote, canceled it over the ridiculously high price, blaming politicians in D.C. He first floated the idea after watching the Bastille Day parade in Paris last summer. The president was apparently so impressed by the display, he said this to reporters.
To a large extent, because of what I witnessed, we may do something like that on July 4th in Washington, down Pennsylvania. I don't know. We're going to have to try and top it.
And I want to get the details now from NBC News national security and military reporter Courtney Kube, who's been all over this story. Court, you and I have been trying to report out the details of this potential parade for months. And one of the things that struck me was just how difficult it was to get any specifics about the planning, about the cost. So talk a little bit about that and how this all fell apart.
Well, you're absolutely right, Kristen. So one of the problems with the planning of this parade from the very beginning is there hasn't been a solid vision. Initially, they were talking about this being more of a Veterans Day parade, given the timing, and then given the fact that they wanted to focus on a lot of the nation's veterans. But when we were asking the specifics, we were told things like there's going to be a lot of aircraft. We'll bring in old model aircraft. We're going to have some wheeled vehicles. We'll have a lot of marching soldiers and some of the old guard, people who are based up here at Fort Myers, some of the more ceremonial members. But nobody could ever really give us a lot of the specifics, specifically about the cost and who was going to pay for it. There was an initial estimate of somewhere between around $12 million, but that was just based on the Gulf War parade, which was 25 years ago. When you adjust that for inflation, that made its way up to about $25 million, which is what the administration first said, somewhere between 10 and 30. What that didn't factor in, of course, was how many troops they were going to have, and of course, security, what it would take for security, and then any potential infrastructure corrections that they would have to make. If these large vehicles damage the asphalt in D.C. and downtown D.C., there would have to, of course, be reimbursed for it. So one of our colleague, Amanda Messias at CNBC, broke this story yesterday saying that the outside range is actually more than $90 million. So more than triple the amount that we were initially told this would cost. But nobody can say what the actual estimate is really going to be because, again, there's no vision. They don't exactly know what this parade would entail, Kristen.
So I just have to follow up with you on that because you're painting this dire picture. Basically, there weren't any details about how much this would cost, the logistics of it, the planning of it. I know you can't read into the future, but you are immersed in this. Based on your conversations there at the Pentagon Court, do you think we're ever going to see this military parade take place?
You know, it's hard to say. I think that it's hard to envision a scenario where this parade, in the way that President Trump wants it, would be less than $50 million to American taxpayers. So he has to decide, the president, the administration have to decide if they want to expend the political capital for a parade that costs that much money. There have been discussions about things that could defray some of the costs, things like asking private citizens who have older model aircraft to be part of the parade and that they would front the cost. They would foot the cost. Also using troops in the nearby area and calling it training so that their training budgets would actually, defray the cost for this. President Trump also tweeted that he might participate in a parade at Andrews Air Force Base in the coming year. I'm assuming that he means the annual air show there. I'm not aware of a parade that actually exists there, but it's an annual enormous event just up the road at Andrews Air Force Base. But I guess we're going to have to see exactly what this administration wants to spend on a parade, Kristen.
We'll have to wait and see. Courtney, I know you're going to continue to stay on top of all of these developments. Thank you so much for your great reporting.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.